What up, everyone? Welcome back to the Tennessee Titans Lost podcast. I am your host, dumbass Titans fan who thought that we were going to go to the Super Bowl, joined with my friend Tyler.
Who's a sad Bears fan.
So, it's been a while. I have no excuse this time. I really don't. School and work just kicking my ass.
I guess I have a solid excuse with the medical shit, but
Tyler was, if you guys don't know, Tyler was recently diagnosed with fart cancer. It's very serious and not made up at all. So, send your prayers and send him money too. He would love money, and he's gonna share that money with me. So, just take a random guess at what I want to talk about first.
The Titans.
So I watched Todd Downing call an absolute joke of a game. Watched Ryan Tannehill throw 3 picks. Watch a Derrick Henry who looked like he was forced to return. AJ Brown balled out. Our defense balled out. I feel really bad.
Defense, man.
Just one thing I want to get out of the way is I feel terrible for Julio Jones. I do. I feel bad for Julio Jones because the Titans have a window, and with now that window has closed even more. It was already pretty small, and now it's gotten even smaller. And next year is that window. Ryan Tannehill, no Ryan Tannehill, whatever. Now I don't think anything's gonna happen to Tannehill money wise. It literally does. It can't make sense. We would lose too much money, and we wouldn't be able to sign guys who are huge to our team like Jeffrey Simmons, AJ Brown, Harold Landry. It would be impossible for us to get rid of Ryan Tannehill this offseason. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm opposed to trying to steal a guy in the draft. Because it does help our draft pick, I guess. But, we're a win-now team. I don't give a fuck about our draft pick. I've already made it clear to Tyler that I would be okay with trading our first-round pick for somebody. I would. A good secondary player. Someone not named Ryan Tannehill. I don't care. I would even trade our first-round pick for a competent offensive coordinator. You've never traded a pick for a coach, but I would.
Matt Nagy's available. Good for him.
No, that's worse. So, the day of us recording this, actually about 2-3 hours, not even 3 hours ago, about 2 hours ago, Tennessee was upset by the red-hot Cincinnati Bengals, and I just want to say, can we talk about Mr. Joe Shiesty? Joe Brrr. Anyway, sorry, I will never do that again. Yeah, man, Joe Burrow, I really don't even know what else to say. Joe Burrow is that guy. He really is. I have nothing but respect for Joe Burrow this year. He became one of my favorite players in the league, and he was a guy who, I'll be honest, I coming into this year, with the Bengals O-line struggles, I was very upset with them drafting Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. Coming into this year, I just wasn't too big on Joe Burrow. I wasn't. I thought maybe he would struggle a little bit. I was wrong. Jamar Chase has already emerged as a top receiver in the NFL.
He is legit.
I do have a question for you, though.
Yeah.
How does Jamar Chase's rookie year this year compare to Jay Jetta's last year? Because they're similar in so many ways. Like, I don't think you realize how similar they are. Hold on. I'm going to read off to you Jamar Chase's stats from this year, okay?
Okay.
So Jamar Chase this year had 81 receptions for 1,455 yards and 13 touchdowns, okay? And then now I'll pull up Jay Jetta's. We'll go Justin Jefferson. And here was his rookie stats. He had 88 receptions for 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns. So Jamar Chase had more yards and touchdowns and less receptions.
Yeah, man.
Seriously, they're extremely similar rookie years. This is 2 years in a row now we've seen rookie receivers out of LSU, keep in mind, ball the fuck out in their rookie year.
Yeah.
Both played under Joe Burrow. I don't know. You know, there were some people that doubted Jamar Chase coming out of the draft because there was the hands problem, if you remember that from like training camps.
Yeah, and I called everyone stupid for that. And look who's right.
He had a problem with dropping balls, and I was like, and he literally, I was like, man hasn't played in almost since they went to the Natty. Man hasn't played since the national championship. Like, it might take him a minute. Like, chill. Don't overreact.
Plus, he's a rookie. I mean, everyone's got some nerves. Well, I mean, he might be a little bit nervous or something.
I want to talk about mainly, and I'm going to get into a game recap. Don't worry. I've got stuff to say. But I want to focus on the Bengals first because, I mean, yeah. So, I'm going to go over, like, just how Jamar Chase progressed every week, okay?
All right.
So, in his very first game against the Vikings, he had 5 for 101 and a touchdown. Very solid first game.
Yeah.
Then in the Bears, he comes out for 2 receptions for 54 yards and a touchdown.
I remember that game.
Steelers, he had 4 for 65 and 2 touchdowns. So he was fine in the end zone, but he wasn't finding a crazy amount of yards early on.
Yeah. He was a big play receiver.
And then against the Jaguars, 6 for 77, no touchdowns. So once again, didn't find the end zone and not over 100 yards. Then,
still a very good stat line there.
Oh, amazing. I'm not discrediting it. It just seemed to be the story the first couple weeks. He was finding the end zone, but not too many yards. Or high receptions. And, let's see, against the Packers, October 10th. This was his first, I guess, big game, although he did have 100 yards against the Vikings, but this was his first breakout game. He had 6 for 159 and a touchdown.
Yeah, it was one hell of a game. It was one hell of a game for Jamar Chase against the Packers. I actually had him in fantasy, and
yeah, I know.
He balled out for me. I mean, that's just the truth. I had him and Cooper Kupp in fantasy. He was amazing. But, you know, about the question with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, when you look at it, Cincinnati's definitely got the better receiving core, in depth especially. But Justin Jefferson's more the, I'm going to this guy almost half the game. I mean, Thielen's a good receiver, but, you know, with Cincinnati, Jamar Chase, seriously, he had a better stat line, but they also got T. Higgins, they got Tyler Boyd, they got Auden Tate. It's just more in depth. So he wasn't really the go-to guy, but he was their big play guy.
CJ Uzomah really emerged this year as like I'll say very, very solid guy. Very solid.
Yeah.
He was he was really good this year. He was more of like a safety net for Burrow in a way. Like if he had nowhere to go to CJ Uzomah because he's probably open.
I could see him getting a little bit of a payday because he's going to be a free agent.
CJ Uzomah was very, very consistent this year. I mean, he, you know, numbers aren't amazing. 49 receptions for 493 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, as a tight end, that's very good because, especially in like this year, besides like Mark Andrews, Kelsey, and Kittle, the tight end play this year was not amazing. Darren Waller battled injuries all year and really just struggled to find the end zone when he was healthy. I mean, it just the tight end play this year was not amazing. You know, so he had a very good year, but like I would be interested to know, and I'm sure there's some stats guys out there that know this. I don't know off the top of my head. But I wonder, like, of his receptions, how many of them were for first downs or, you know, vice versa, or like check downs.
I would say a ton of them.
Or check downs that got 8 or 9 yards and led to a first down.
Yeah, tight ends aren't really impactful in this year. Honestly, past 3 years, I would say. But he stepped up this year. I'll give him that.
Yeah, no, he definitely did. So for Jamar Chase, though, I'm not going to go over every game. I'm just going to go over with you some of the most notable games. So
yeah,
against the Ravens on October 24th, he went 8 for 201 and a touchdown. Against the Ravens again, he went 7 for 125, no touchdowns. And then, of course, January 2nd, the big game against the Chiefs that got everyone talking, 11 for 266 and 3 touchdowns. And I watched that game live because it was Titans. If they lost, if the Chiefs lost, you know, Tennessee got the 1 seed. And I watched Ja'Marr Chase make big play after big play. There was when they were making their game-winning drive, there was a third, and it was really long. I want to say it was like maybe 17. And
Yeah, I remember that.
And Ja'Marr Chase converted it, and it was crazy. And then again in the playoffs, he has yet to find the end zone in the playoffs, but already has over about 225 receiving yards for the playoffs. He had 9 for 116 against the Raiders and 5 for 109 against the Titans today, which included that really big catch to get them into field goal range to ultimately set up the win. Man, Ja'Marr Chase is something special. Him and Burrow is going to be really fun to watch the next, hopefully 10 plus years. It's going to be beautiful to watch. Ja'Marr Chase is only 21. He's really young. I don't know how old Joe Burrow is.
He's older.
I think he's 25.
He's an older rookie,
yeah, he's 25. Yeah. But man, how do you feel, impact wise, and just how do you compare Justin Jefferson's rookie year to Ja'Marr Chase's? Because they were very similar, and they're both LSU receivers, both played under Joe Burrow. It's interesting. I want to pull up Justin Jefferson's stats from his rookie year. So let me
actually have them right here. If you want me to just read them?
Yeah, actually read them off.
He had 88 receptions for 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns his rookie year. Well, he actually took a big leap this year, but that's besides the point.
I'm going to look up. I want to see his game by games. Because I want to see. Let me see. Hold on. I didn't realize he had 1,600 yards this year.
Yeah, he dominated this year.
Who led the league in yards? Was it
Cup?
Cup? Yeah.
Cup.
Yeah.
He was 18 away from breaking the all-time record.
I'm not going to name off all of Justin Jefferson's rookie year games, but I'm just going to give you some of the most notable ones, all right?
All right.
So, against Atlanta, he had 9 receptions for 166 and 2 touchdowns.
Damn.
Against Chicago, he had 8 for 135, no touchdowns. Against Jacksonville, he had 9 for 121 and a touchdown. Against Chicago again, he had 8 for 104 and no touchdowns.
Of course, it's against us.
And then in the final game of the year, he had 9 for 133 and no touchdowns against the Lions. So definitely didn't find the end zone as much as Ja'Marr did. But I don't know, man. I feel like that's a really interesting conversation. I would love to see like in depth next gen stats in a way, like comparing their rookie years. That might be something I'd have to look for. But anyway, the moment everyone's been waiting for, Tyler's been waiting for, Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
It was an up and down ride for the Titans this year. Battled injuries all year. None of our guys could stay healthy on offense. Defense was relatively healthy the whole year. Caleb Farley tore his ACL, which sucks. Praying for him. First round pick. I really, really love Caleb Farley and would love to see him pan out. Seeing breakout years for Harold Landry and Jeffrey Simmons. Danico Autry had an amazing year. Naquan Jones came in and played really well. Christian Fulton broke out.
Kevin Byard, man.
Jack Rabbit Jenkins had an amazing year. Second half of the year, not the whole year. Second half of the year. Amani Hooker, when healthy, stepped up and was really good. Made a huge play today. Kevin Byard was the best safety in the league this year.
No doubt.
He was amazing. Offensively, man, Julio just could never really get it going this year. He was never healthy. AJ, when healthy, was a monster. Tannehill was the only consistent starter. Of course, Derrick Henry had that foot injury. It was just an up and down year for Tennessee. Still locked up the 1 seed, which really gave me hope. But of course, we lost today. And like normal, our offense started off extremely slow. We couldn't I'm stupid. Our offense started off extremely slow. We couldn't run the ball. Tannehill threw a pick on the very first play of the game. And then after that, Tannehill, I watched him overthrow A.J. Brown on a slant route that would have led to a first down. And then later on in the game, Deonta Foreman made a 50, what was it? No, it was a 45-yard run, got down into the red zone, then Tannehill threw a pick. And then, of course, in the second quarter, there was the touchdown where we tied it up 6-6, and for some reason, we went for two. I don't understand why. I don't understand
it.
I don't understand the point of it. I'm not an NFL coach, but I don't understand it. And that very well could have changed the game because we go into that final drive up 17-16, and we don't even think about passing the ball.
Yeah.
And I also don't understand why we threw to Nick Westbrook-Akina when we have A.J. Brown and Julio Jones on the field. Keep in mind.
So I got two questions for you.
Julio Jones, who is one of the best playoff performers of all time. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I got two questions.
Hit me with it.
What are you looking for next season? What are some improvements you want to make, and who is your MVP for this year?
All right,
for your team.
Do you want me to do like an offensive and defensive MVP?
Yeah, offensive and defensive. Who showed up the most?
Offensive MVP has to be Deonta Foreman. Has to be.
Okay, I like that.
He filled the shoes when Derrick Henry was hurt and was huge, and later in the stretch and was even big today. Defensive MVP, I don't think anyone would question me on this. Harold Landry.
I was expecting Byard, but I like it.
Byard slowed down the second half of the year. He was still amazing, just wasn't really picking the ball off as much. Still was really good. I mean, interceptions on everything. But, he slowed down a little bit. Harold Landry, however, did not. Probably Harold Landry, then Byard, then Big Jeff, then Danico. I mean, it's just our defense played so well this year. I can't, it's hard. It really is. And then offensively behind Foreman, maybe, I guess Tannehill, just because he was the only starter that started every game.
So, I know there were some O-line troubles for Tennessee, but was there any particular player on the offensive line that really showed promise? Or just balled out?
Nate Davis got better. I'll give him that. Nate Davis was a guy that I looked to take a big jump this year. Didn't really do it, but still was he was really bad to start it off and then picked it up big time. Same with Taylor Lewan. Of course, allowed 5 sacks the very first week and then was up and down for the rest of the year, but he ended off pretty strong. Rodgers Saffold's always been really consistent. I love Rodgers Saffold. But as far as offensive line MVP, Ben Jones. Ben Jones has been our center for many, many years now. And I love Ben Jones. Ben Jones was really, really consistent all year. I mean,
if I'm not mistaken, he's a free agent, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's been the story of Ben Jones' career. Just be consistent, come in, get the job done, and you love a guy like that.
Yeah.
Ben Jones has been really good all year, truly.
So what are some improvements
for next year, or improvements that were this year?
Yeah, just like some things you want to see next year that needs to be improved.
Play calling is the number one. It can't be no more run on first down, run on second down, pass. No more of that. Tannehill next year has got to limit the turnovers. Struggle with turnovers bad this year. I don't know why. It's normally even in Miami, Tannehill did everything he could to protect the ball. I don't know what happened this year. Got to cut down on the turnovers. Got to limit Derrick Henry's workload to prevent another year like this of happening. Re-sign Foreman. Have him not split carries with Derrick Henry, but give Foreman some of the fucking carries. I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, give him like 15-20% of carries.
Don't destroy Derrick Henry's prime. Don't waste it. I think that's don't waste it.
Yeah.
Don't waste Derrick Henry's prime. Because we know running backs like him don't last. As much as I don't want Derrick Henry to fall off, I give Derrick Henry maybe another 2 years of being good, and I think that's pushing it. Especially after the injury that he had this year. I think that's pushing it. Don't waste Derrick Henry's prime. Get a new OC. Todd Downing's not the guy. Arthur Smith was not the guy. Find someone who works, please. And, you know, defensively, I mean, really, I have nothing to say. I mean, defense was good all year.
They overperformed.
I
know how many you thought about them.
I guess the only criticism I'd have of the defense is maybe just trying to bring in a corner. I mean, but even then, Elijah Molden was really good at times this year. Of course, I already talked about Christian Fulton, who had a breakout year. Hopefully we get Caleb Farley back and healthy. Janoris had a really good second half of the year. I think that might be just like the one thing we're missing is like a stud corner.
Yeah.
Literally, that's probably the one thing that we're missing. Just bring in a corner. I really don't know what else to say. I mean, the fact that we still locked up the 1 seed after everything we went through this year is insane to me. And, you know, the guys played their ass off this year. I know I've talked some smack about Ryan Tannehill, but he was the only consistent guy this year. The only one on offense. So, you know, props to him for being a dog, I guess. I still think he's a little bit overpaid, and I still don't think he's that good. But props to him for being a dog. And hopefully next year we see the Tannehill that we've seen the last 2 years and not the Tannehill that we've seen this year.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he threw that pick. Anyway, he threw that pick in the red zone to Mike Hilton, which was a hell of a play, by the way. I mean, he just tipped it up and caught it. That was a hell of a play. And
yeah, just a little screen pass.
And then, of course, he ended up throwing that game-losing interception, which I don't think it was his fault. I mean, that should have just been a dead ball, but Nick Westbrook-Akina had to tip it in the air for whatever reason. I don't know why, but, you know, shit happens, I guess. I mean, I don't know. But I will say this. Tennessee has been the 1 seed going into the playoffs, has been the 1 seed 3 times. In 2000, and let's see, it was the year 2001, some other year in the 2000s, and then of course this year. And 2 of the losses were to the Ravens, and then this year was to the Bengals. So they are 0-3 in the playoffs as a 1 seed.
That's crazy.
It just can't happen, man. It cannot keep happening. I don't know. You know, I've got some mixed feelings, and I still don't really know my entire thoughts. Next year, it's got to be, I think the number one thing is the turnovers. Cannot turn the fucking ball over like we did this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Cannot turn
100%
the ball
agree.
over. Can't turn the ball over, and health. Those are the 2 things.
Yeah, so if that's all you got for the Titans, I want to ask you about this one player.
All right.
TREVON DIGGS.
Overrated as fuck.
I know me and you agree on
TREVON
this,
Diggs
and
had no business being a Pro Bowler.
I don't think he was all pro at all.
TREVON Diggs is a mid-level CB2 to a nickel at best.
Yeah, and anyone that thinks he's one of the best corners in the league, I'm sorry. I am sorry. Anyone that says that he was better than AJ Terrell this season, no.
Yeah, Cowboys fans are delusional.
No. I don't like going to PFF for everything. Yeah, I'll go on PFF and I'll look. I don't pay attention to the grades. I pay attention to the targets, the amount of yards they have allowed, you know, that sort of thing. AJ Terrell didn't allow a player to go over 35 yards in a single game this year. This man locked down the whole side of the field. He was 96th in targets, so no quarterback was thrown his way. This man locked down a whole side of the field. That is lockdown. TREVON DIGGS was targeted number 5, 5th most in the NFL. He allowed over 70 yards than any other cornerback in the NFL. Quarterbacks were thrown his way because he fucking sucks.
You're right.
I don't give a shit about the interceptions. He got lucky. He sucks.
I wouldn't say he got lucky. I mean, one thing that TREVON DIGGS does have is he has great hands. He's an amazing ball hawk, but he's nothing else. That's what separates. Stop comparing him to Xavier Howard and J.C. Jackson. Stop.
Don't.
Stop.
That's criminal.
Yes, Xavier Howard. I would argue, honestly, and you may think I'm crazy for this, but after this year, I would argue J.C. Jackson is probably better than Xavier Howard. I really would.
Oh, I agree. I
would argue that J.C. Jackson is better than Xavier Howard. But Xavier Howard is good besides being a ball hawk. Xavier Howard can actually cover. Xavier Howard can actually tackle. And J.C. Jackson does those two things better. TREVON DIGGS cannot do either of those things. He's a terrible tackler. He's terrible in coverage. He has no business being an all-pro corner. No business.
It's like this man. He wanted nothing but picks. Like, the way you see him push, like, on the routes, he is so aggressive. Like,
Bro,
I don't know what his mindset
It's like, you know, Cowboys fans are like, oh, TREVON DIGGS picked off your quarterback twice. Yeah, and our wide receiver one also had 200 yards and a touchdown. What's your point? Like, it doesn't make any... Like, make it make sense, bro. I'm going to pull up the Dallas Cowboys schedule, actually, okay? And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read off some stat lines of the wide receiver ones that they played, okay? Fair?
All right.
Is that fair?
Yep.
All right, so let's pull it up, right? So, we'll start...
While you're doing that, I want to give some major props to Micah Parsons. Holy shit.
Yeah.
He was a monster.
Antonio Brown, week 1, 5 receptions, 121, and a touchdown. Okay. Gets better. Let's see. Week 2. Keenan Allen had 4 receptions for 108 yards. Week 3 was the Eagles. I don't know how much you really care about that one because I don't. But
yeah, the Eagles.
Week 4, DJ Moore had 8 receptions for 113 and 2 touchdowns. Week 5, the Giants. Okay. Well, Kadarius Toney had 10 receptions for 189 yards. Never mind, I take that back.
Yeah, I don't even know who their number one was this year.
Cowboys and Patriots. Kendrick Bourne was their number one that game, I guess. He had 1 reception for 75 and a touchdown. I mean, I don't know how much you count that.
Man, he also had a lot of easy matchups this year.
Yeah, he did. I mean, let me see. I'm going to try to point out some... All right, we'll look at Chiefs. Reek had 9 for 77. That was also when the Chiefs weren't playing as good. Raiders and Cowboys. Renfro had 8 for 134. That's a fucking joke, literally.
This man shouldn't have even gotten 1 All-Pro vote. I'm sorry. And
against the Saints, Deontay Harris, 4 for 96 and a touchdown.
Man, he's...
Let's see. And I'm sure there's going to be someone that's like, oh, y'all are just hating. No. Look at the numbers.
There is more to it than interceptions. And I saw someone said that, oh, well, if you take away Tom Brady's touchdowns, he's not good either. I'm like, there's so much more to a quarterback than a corner. Corner is an important position, okay? Quarterback is the most important position on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Touchdowns, interception ratio, completion percentage, QBR rating. You know, those are stats that pop up easily. With corners, you know, it's a little bit different. You got to go into the depths of it. You got to see if they're maintaining their number one wide receiver, if they're making their tackles.
Which he struggled to contain wide receiver 2s this year.
Yep.
He's just, I'm sorry, he's not that guy.
And the fact that he got all-pro first team over A.J. Terrell is the most criminal thing I have ever seen. That's just idiotic. I'm sorry.
I want to pull up, let's see. I want to pull up a list of the top free agents this upcoming year, okay?
I can already tell you one of them, and I'll tell you, I want J.C. Jackson in Chicago. As much as it's not going to happen, man, I would. Oh my God!
I want to talk about where you think that they could end up.
Okay.
Devontae Adams. I think he goes back to Green Bay. I think that one's simple.
Ask me after the playoffs.
Teron Armstead.
Okay, this one's tough because New Orleans cap space is
And they just paid
not
the
good.
fuck out of Ryan Ramczyk.
What about Cincinnati? You know, that's something I could see. I know they got Jonah Williams at right, but Jonah can play right tackle. So if you slide Teron Armstead in there at left and then Jonah over at right, man, that is a nice tackle duo.
Chris Godwin.
Godwin. You know, I could see this being a spot for my Bears, but this one's tough because, you know, obviously he's coming off the torn ACL. He's probably going to be at a little bit of a discount, you know, same with another receiver like Michael Gallup. You know, a team that comes to my mind is a team like the Saints. And I know they don't have the cap space. They're struggling at quarterback, but this dude's, I believe, 25 years old. You don't have a wide receiver one besides Michael Thomas, but I don't know. But besides Michael Thomas, you know, you don't have much there.
He
I like
has a
Deontay
mental
Harris, but he's
breakdown every 2 weeks and says he wants to leave the Saints, so it's hard to tell what'll happen.
Yeah, you know, I would guess maybe a team like the Saints, a team that's, you know, young, maybe not Super Bowl contenders, but, you know, they're a winning team.
Well, I mean, he's already got his ring, too.
Yeah, he's got his ring.
And now he probably wants the bag. This one is actually a lot more interesting than I think people will realize. Mike Williams.
I was kind of hoping you'd say this one.
Mike Williams.
One, I think he's really underrated. You saw what happened when Justin Herbert targeted him a lot during the beginning of the season. He was a monster. So, you know, he's a little bit older, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could see him going to a contender. How about a team like Kansas City?
I was going to say Kansas City, bro, or call me crazy, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's another one I could see, too.
Tennessee.
And another receiver I could see maybe possibly going to Tennessee is Michael Gallup.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. I don't know about after his injury, but I would still be okay with it.
You know, here's the thing with that, though. You know, you're probably going to get him for 1 or 2 years because, you know, you don't see guys that get like 3 or 4 coming off that type of an injury. And maybe like, you know, $8-9 million. I think he's a high-end wide receiver, too, when healthy.
Yeah.
Or a mid wide receiver, too. So, you know,
he hasn't really panned. I think of him a lot like Corey Davis. Like, he hasn't really panned out like he was supposed to, but he's still really good.
Yeah, I think that he's in a loaded offense with CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. That is a loaded offense.
Oh, I was talking about Mike Williams.
Oh,
I was talking about Gallup. No, it's cool. But I was saying Mike Williams. He reminds me a lot of like Corey Davis. Like he hadn't really panned out like he was supposed to, but still really good.
Yeah. One thing I think that separates him from Corey Davis is they're 50-50 balls.
Yeah,
Mike Williams is a monster.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Corey Davis is more of a playmaker. Corey Davis, he's gonna catch the ball. He's gonna do some shifty moves. He's But another interesting receiver, Allen Robinson. I want to hear what you have to say.
So, I love A-Rob. Don't let this season fool you. I think he's a hell of a player. Personally, I think him and Fields weren't on the same page. One, Fields got no reps with the first teams at all this offseason, which is ludicrous. You agree with that? I know you do.
Yeah.
The fact that your 11th overall pick doesn't get first team reps is a joke. But, you know, Fields goes to the guys that create space, that are really speedy. And you saw it with Darnell Mooney this year. He came out of a system like Ohio State where, you know, it was a lot of play action, a lot of players getting open. I don't think him and Allen Robinson really fit each other. I'm not going to lie. And I think with the whole contract situation that Allen Robinson just wasn't feeling it this year. I think he checked out. I think he got a payday, and I just don't think he wanted to play. I mean, if you watch him this year, he's falling mid-route. He's not giving it 100% on the jump balls. You know, there's a lot of things that stick out. And I've not missed a single Bears play this season, and I can tell you, he's got skill. He just checked out. But a team that I could see him going to, I have 2 teams in mind. I see the Indianapolis Colts, which I know you'd hate, and I see the Baltimore Ravens.
You want to know a team that I see?
Who?
The New England Patriots.
Yeah, that's one I could see, too. I really could. And, it's kind of interesting because it makes you wonder what type of money he'll get this offseason. Because, this was obviously a very down year for him, considering he's had, 1,200 yards the past 2 years. So, it makes you wonder because he was debatably a $16, $17, $18 million wide receiver per year, last year. So, it just makes me think. I just think there's a lot of question marks with Allen Robinson, but I don't doubt anything that he's still got the skill that he does. He is a very talented receiver.
Another interesting Chicago guy, Akeem Hicks.
Man, I love Akeem. I do, but I think he's gone. He's basically already said his goodbyes. I appreciate everything he's done for Chicago. He plays with a lot of heart. He was the soul of this defense. Like, when he was out of the game, you saw a difference. When he's in the game, man, especially in the run game, man, he is a monster. He's a great guy. He's a natural-born leader. It's just health for him. And, he's older. I'd like to see him go somewhere and win a ring. As much as I'd love him to come back to Chicago, it'd have to be for the right price. Which, he stated he wants to come back to Chicago, but, Chicago's not exactly a win-now team. And, trying to see, I don't know if Chicago's a retool or a rebuild type of team. I think that's just kind of up to the new GM to decide, which we don't know yet. But a team I could see a King going to, but a team like the Chargers, or a team like the Buccaneers if they're trying to replace William Golston. This is the toughest one because with the injuries and all the setbacks he had this year, it's tough. But, if your team goes out and gets a King, when he's healthy, he's coming onto the field with 130%. He will be a leader. He is a great guy, and he is one hell of a player. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got on him, man. He's awesome. I love him.
So, do you want to talk about Antonio Brown or?
By the way, Antonio Brown blocked me on Twitter, not Twitter, but Instagram, so everyone knows. But, no, I don't think we should talk about that clown. He's just a waste of oxygen.
That shit is so funny. As we're actually doing this, the Packers and the Niners are in a really interesting game. It's 7-3 at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I'm telling you this while watching this game. If San Francisco can get their offense rolling, watch out. I could see it upset.
So, don't ask why I'm bringing this up, but I was doing research on Ben Jones, and I figured out that when Ben Jones was in high school, do you remember that running back from I don't know where he played in the league, but he went to Georgia at college. Zach Stacy, the one that went viral earlier last year.
Oh yeah.
Beating the fuck out of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben Jones was his center when they were in high school.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Zach Stacy rushed for 1,666 yards and 24 touchdowns.
That's insane.
Yeah, fuck Zach Stacy, by the way.
Yeah, and also fuck Antonio Brown.
Yeah, bro, Antonio Brown's weird. Big Ben, we thinking Big Ben's gone?
Yeah, I'm 95% sure.
I've been kind of notorious to talk some shit about Big Ben, but all jokes aside, Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl champion, right? He has 2?
Yep.
2-time Super Bowl champion. I really don't know. I mean, he's probably the best QB in Steelers history, right? I mean, yeah, you could say Terry Bradshaw, but he played on some really good Steelers teams. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough, but
which Big Ben has too. Big Ben's played on some really good Steelers teams, but I don't think he compares with Terry Bradshaw. I think Big Ben's way better.
I agree for the most part.
Fun fact, do you ever heard of the show Duck Dynasty?
Yeah, I'm not big on it.
I'm not either, but the really old guy on there, Cy Robertson, that everyone it fell in love with.
Yeah, the older guy.
Yeah, fun fact: when Terry Bradshaw was in college, Cy Robertson actually started over Terry Bradshaw.
I remember reading about that. That's
And
crazy
then,
to think about.
And then Terry Bradshaw ended up taking QB1, and of course, rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a little fun fact. I'm sure a lot of people know that by now, but
Pretty interesting.
I was looking at Hassan Reddick just now because I think he's an interesting one. I didn't know he had 11 sacks this year.
Yeah, and he's also a free agent.
He very quietly had a really good year. He had a breakout year last year because they finally played him in the correct role. They were trying to use him as a mic for whatever reason, and he's not.
Yeah, he's
finally
a
used him as a pass rusher, and he broke out, and he had another really solid year, at least stats-wise. I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch a lot of Panthers games, so I don't know how good he actually was. But stats-wise, he had a really solid year. He had double-digit sacks. I think he's a very solid guy, and I would love to see where he goes. I like Hassan Reddick.
I personally could see him staying in Carolina, but
Carolina's situation is interesting, man. I don't know what they do QB-wise, because, I was one that was a Darnold believer, and, then he bought out, the first 3-4 weeks, and I was like, oh my God, Darnold really is, good. I've been telling y'all this. And shit went bad. I don't know what the hell happened, but...
I don't want to defend him because it was terrible. Wait, what?
I just don't know what happened.
Oh, but, McCaffrey went out week 4 or 5, and that's whenever he started struggling. You could make the case that any quarterback without their best player is going to struggle, but he struggled bad.
Yeah,
his bad.
Wasn't just his was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, outside of McCaffrey, they got weapons. You got DJ Moore, you got Robbie Anderson, you got Tommy Trimble, who I think is a young and upcoming tight end. He had weapons, but
I like Tommy Trimble.
That fall off is extreme.
I really like Tommy Trimble.
I do too.
Speaking of Robbie Anderson,
awesome.
What kind of year did he have? I know he had a 1,000-yard year last year.
I don't think he did much this year at all, really.
19 this year.
Yeah, he's more of that guy you'll see have 2 catches for 80 yards.
Yeah,
he's one of those guys.
No touchdowns.
Yeah, he's their big time guy. He'll get him a 50-yard catch.
Another fun fact: Robbie Anderson once told a cop that he would nut in his wife's eye. Yes, that is a real thing. If you do not believe me, Google it.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from that, we're going to take a little break here, talk about, figure out some other topics, and we shall return. So, for the last section of the podcast, I really just want to talk about playoffs. So, who do you think's going to go all the way at this point?
Originally, I had the Titans and Rams, and I know a lot of people will find me crazy for that. But Titans were a legit team. They knocked off the Rams, they knocked off the Chiefs, they knocked off the Bills. I kind of just saw it, but now I'm kind of leaning because, in my original prediction, I had Kansas City beating Buffalo second round. I was actually spot on first round. And I actually had the Chiefs winning, but now I'm kind of leaning the Bills, so... I'm gonna go Bills and Rams Super Bowl.
I'm gonna go, bro.
Yeah.
Cincy and Tampa Bay.
I like it. I was going back and forth between Cincy.
Bro, they're so hot right now. It's ridiculous.
I know.
I'm gonna go Cincy and Tampa Bay, and I think Tampa Bay will merge. I'm thinking Green Bay and Tampa Bay NFC Championship, so just a rematch of last year, and then I'm going to say Buffalo and Cincy AFC Championship, which will be a hell of a game, by the way. Honestly, if that is the NFC and AFC Championships, both of those games are going to be amazing, truly.
Yeah, and we are considering doing a live watch party, so if y'all would be interested in that, let us know.
We're thinking about later on in this Packers and Niners game, depending on, if it's close. I mean, Green Bay could run away with it, especially if they score here. But
they got a field goal. It's field goal. It's 10-3.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind. So, we are watching that. So we'll figure that one out. But I think we'll go ahead and wrap this up so we can, finish watching some playoff football. May play some video games later. But it's nice to be back, and we're going to, try and be back pretty consistently. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. We'll catch you guys later.